Before becoming a serial killer, Leonarda Cianciulli was a good mother that would do anything for her children. Giuseppe, the favorite son of Leonarda, wanted to fight in the war to help his country, Italy. This news, combined with Leonarda's strong belief in superstitions, transformed her in one of the most notorious serial killers in history. Leonarda Cianciulli was born in 1894. She had a tough childhood. Leonarda's mom, Emilia, was raped, and soon after she discovered she was pregnant. In those times, a woman could be isolated from society for this. There was a high probability that she might never find a man that wants to marry her. Back in the days, one solution for rape victims in order to avoid ruin was to marry the rapist. And this is exactly what Leonarda's mom did. She didn't report the incident to police and married the man that raped her. Leonarda was the result of a tragic conception. Her mother did not want her, and she made sure Leonarda knows it. Emilia abused her constantly. She was telling Leonarda that she was cursed by the devil, and that her life would fall apart. Her father died when she was young, and her mother remarried and had other children. With these kids, Emilia was very kind and loving, but continued to be abusive with Leonarda. At some moment, Leonarda started to show symptoms of epilepsy, but her mother didn't show any empathy for her. So Leonarda became very depressed, and as a teenager, she tried to kill herself twice. Although her mother remarried, they were living in poverty, so in order to fix their financial issues, Emilia planned for Leonarda to marry a rich man. But Leonarda refused to obey and married with a registry office clerk, Raffaele Pansardi. As a punishment for her disobedience, her mother started to humiliate her and abuse her even more than she used to. Eventually, she kicked her out of the home. For this reason, in 1921, Leonarda moved in her husband's hometown, Doria. And for some time, life was good. But in 1927, she got imprisoned for fraud. After she was released from jail, she didn't want to live in a town where everybody knew she was arrested. So she decided to start a new life somewhere else. The couple moved to Lacedonia, but there they also had bad luck. Irpinia earthquake hits in 1930 and their house is destroyed, but at least they are alive. So they move again, and this time would be in Correggio. Here their financial situation improved, and Leonarda was well respected and liked. Everybody described her as kind, loving, a very good woman. Leonarda had 17 pregnancies, but she miscarried 3 times. 10 children died when they were very young, and only 4 children survived. As a result of these losses, she became overprotective with the surviving children. She didn't want her kids to experience the same traumatic childhood like she did, so she was a devoted mother. Leonarda was very superstitious. She started going to fortune tellers. One of these fortune tellers told her that she will get married and she will have many children, but all of her children will die very young. As this prediction came true, Leonarda was reinforced to believe even more in fortune tellers. So she also went to a gypsy palm reader. She was told, "In your right hand I see prison, and in your left hand I see a criminal asylum." She also went into fortune telling herself, and soon she became very popular in the community. In Correggio, she opened a shop where she was selling soaps, cakes, tea. So at this point, she was not only a shop owner, but also a fortune teller and a trusted member of the community. That's why people were coming to her for advice and help. Taken into consideration the alleged curse of her mother and the predictions that the fortune teller made, Leonarda becomes even more superstitious. When her son Giuseppe told her at the end of 1939 that he wanted to sign up for the Italian army and join the battlefields in the World War II, Leonarda started to plan something sinister, a human sacrifice. In her mind, fueled with superstitions, she thought this would save Giuseppe's life. Nobody knows from where she got this idea, but she was willing to put it in practice. Leonarda succeeded to kill 3 women before she was caught by police. Her first victim, Faustina Setti, was 73 and single all her life. She always had bad luck in love. She came to Leonarda to help her find a husband. Leonarda told her that she found for her a husband in another town. Faustina received letters from her future husband, but little did she know that they were written by Leonarda. Faustina was determined by Leonarda to write letters to her friends and relatives where she would tell them that she moved in with her husband, that everything is okay, and that they shouldn't look for her. Of course, Leonarda made all this to create an alibi. Faustina was getting ready to go to her future husband, but before doing this, Leonarda asked her to come and pay her last visit. Leonarda served Faustina with a glass of wine, where she put a drug. After she drank it, Faustina fell down unconscious. Then Leonarda kills her with an axe and drags her in the basement. There she chops her in 9 pieces, saves her blood, and puts Faustina's body parts in a big pot and starts cooking it. Regarding Faustina's blood, Leonarda waits till it coagulates, she dries it and grinds it, and then combines it with flour, sugar, chocolate, milk, eggs, butter. From all these ingredients she makes a cake, which she serves to her friends and children. Leonarda claimed she also ate from this cake, and that it tasted really good. Leonarda considered that one human sacrifice was not enough to save her son from death, so she killed again. 4 months later, in 1940, a 50-year-old woman, Francesca Soavi, came to Leonarda's shop to ask her for help. Leonarda claims she found her a job at a girls' school. Leonarda convinced Francesca to write letters to her family members, saying she was happy and that she didn't need them anymore. Before leaving, Leonarda asked Francesca to come and pay her a visit. She was served with a glass of wine that had the same drug, and then murdered with an axe. Francesca received the same treatment as the first victim, and her blood and body parts were transformed into soap and cakes, which were served to the community. The third victim was Virginia Cacioppo. She was a former soprano, but as she was getting older, she was not able to sing so well. She started having financial problems and she was desperate to find a good job. Leonarda tells her she found this great teaching job abroad and that she would be so happy there. Leonarda convinced Virginia, just like she did with her other 2 victims, to write letters to her family and friends, explaining that she would be leaving the country for a while to work and they shouldn't be worried. In the same way, Virginia paid a visit to Leonarda before leaving for her job. She was drugged with the wine she was served, and then after she passed out, she killed her with an axe. She also made soap and cakes from Virginia's body parts. Leonarda said that these cakes were the sweetest. However, this time Virginia's sister was very suspicious that her sister disappeared so suddenly. She went to police and reported her suspicions, saying that the last person that had seen Virginia was the shopkeeper Leonarda. So the police started an investigation, and they soon arrested Leonarda, but she denied any wrongdoings. But when her son Giuseppe was arrested because he was a suspect, she finally confessed and explained in detail everything that she did, claiming she did it all only to save her son, to prevent him from dying in the war. She got 30 years in prison, and 3 years she had to serve in a criminal asylum. She died at age 76, so the predictions that the fortune tellers made many years ago came true. You can see the tools that she used to commit her crimes at the Criminology Museum in Rome, Italy. So we are wondering, was she too superstitious or just mentally ill? Today we know that a woman can have postpartum depression after giving birth to a child. Leonarda had 17 pregnancies, 3 miscarriages, and 10 children died. So we are inclined to believe that she suffered from depression and was profoundly affected by these losses. If Leonarda would live today, most probably she would be diagnosed with depression and would have to follow a treatment. But in the 1930s, Leonarda treated her depression with superstitions and fortune tellers. Was she born evil? Was she mentally ill? A victim of traumatic events? We will let you decide.